Hi, I'm Darren Geraldis, and this is a video discussion post for week 3 in PTA 210 Kinesiology Lab. So for week 3, I have chosen to discuss the rotator cuff muscles. It's basically a group of muscles in the shoulders connecting the upper arm, which is the humerus, and the shoulder blade scapula. So the rotator cuff muscles, it provides stability to the shoulder, particularly the glenohumeral joint. And this muscle allows the shoulder to rotate. The muscles in the rotator cuff or involved in the what is called the rotator cuff muscles are the following. Let's start with the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. So the easier way of remembering the rotator cuff muscles is to remember SITS, sits. So S for supraspinatus, I for infraspinatus, T for teres minor, and S for the scapularis, subscapularis. So in the video, I would be showing how to palpate the rotator cuff muscles and mention the origin and an insertion, and with the accompanied action of the muscles. So the first muscle we'll be palpating is the supraspinatus. The supraspinatus is responsible for abducting the shoulder, stabilizing the head of the humerus in the glenoid cavity. So the origin of the supraspinatus is in the supraspinous fossa, right here, just above the spine of the scapula. And the insertion is at the greater tubercle of the humerus, which is right here. Okay, so the first thing I learned was to locate the spine of the scapula right here. And I know that right on top, the most superficial muscle is the trapezius. So beyond the trapezius, that muscle that goes along underneath it is the supraspinatus. There it is, and it becomes tendinous as you go laterally towards the acromion, and the insertion would be right here. Okay, the next rotator cuff muscle that I'll be palpating is the infraspinatus and the teres minor. So the infraspinatus is responsible for the lateral rotation of the shoulder, as well as the teres minor. So Sarah, if I could just have you abduct your shoulder. There you go. And then laterally rotate your arm. Thank you. So here I can see, if you could just twist your body just a little bit. So there you go. There's the infraspinatus. I can see very clear. And then right underneath it is the teres minor. Okay, now you can relax. So the infraspinatus, the origin of the infraspinatus is at the infraspinatus fossa of the scapula, which is right here. And the insertion is at the greater tubercle of the humerus. The same thing with the insertion of the supraspinatus. Now the teres minor, the origin of the teres minor is the upper 2/3 of the lateral border of the scapula. So if this is your scapula, so you have the medial border of the scapula, and then this is the lateral border of the scapula. So the origin of the teres minor is in the upper 2/3 of the lateral border of the scapula, which is right here. And then it will be inserted same place at the greater tubercle of the humerus. So now I'm gonna palpate the infraspinatus one more time. So I'm gonna ask you to abduct your shoulder and then laterally rotate it. There you go. Now we can see the infraspinatus right here. Thank you. Now you can relax. And then right beneath it is the teres minor. It's not very visible. Okay, the last of the rotator cuff muscle that I'm going to be palpating is the subscapularis. So the subscapularis is responsible for the medial rotation of the shoulder. It also works as stabilizing the head of the humerus in the glenoid cavity. The origin of the subscapularis is at the subscapular fossa of the scapula, and it's inserted at the lesser tubercle of the humerus. Now the subscapularis is located anteriorly in the scapula, so you can't really see it, and we'll have to have our model here, my partner Sarah, in a supine position so we can palpate the subscapularis. Okay, Sarah, so I'm going to ask you to flex your shoulder. Okay, and then try to push your arm towards the ceiling, and I'm going to put some resistance. So right now, I'm going to try and locate her scapula, and hopefully once I get to the edge, I'll be able to palpate the subscapularis. Okay, now relax. Okay, so right now I'm at the edge of the scapula, and I'm going to try to dig in to feel to be able to palpate the subscapularis. Right there. Thank you. Relax.